Referrals are the best leads you'll ever get. So why am I telling you to stop relying on them? After working with 24 referral dependent B2B companies, I've learned something. The referrals aren't your problem. You just don't have a system. So here's a 3-part system that turns random referrals into a pipeline you control, including the exact language to use and when to ask. And I just want to start by saying I'm not anti-referral. Referred leads close at 3 to 5 times the rate of any other channel. You got the built-in trust, 0 acquisition costs. The person who sent you them already sold them before you even picked up the phone. And it feels like validation. Someone put their reputation behind you. That's earned. But here's the trap. Referrals feel so good that you'll never build anything else. 3 great referrals in Q1. You might close 2. Life is good. Q2, crickets. Then Q3 comes, 1 comes in, maybe terrible fit, but you take it because you need that revenue. The end of the year, 2 land, the last week of the quarter, so you're scrambling to close them by year end. That's not a pipeline. That's a slot machine. You pull a lever, sometimes you win, but you've got 0 control over what comes next, how many, and whether they're even worth your time. And here's what nobody talks about. Bad referrals. Your best client wants to help you. They love working with you, so they send you someone. But you've never told them who's actually a good fit. So they send the first person who asks. Maybe it's a company that, half the size of your sweet spot. Maybe it's an industry you've never touched, but it came from your best client. You're not going to say no. That feels disrespectful, and you'll probably close it. That trust transfers. So you got to take it, maybe a discount because they're smaller. Your team's learning a new industry on the fly. 6 months in, both your sides are frustrated. You're doing the work you shouldn't be doing for a client that you shouldn't have taken. The worst referral isn't the one that doesn't close. It's the one that closes and shouldn't have. 84% of B2B sales start with a referral. That's not a channel. That's the channel. And most companies are running in on hope. Let me show you what this looks like when it actually works. I worked with an ERP and managed service company. Great business, great reviews on Clutch. Their clients loved them. But referrals came in waves. We had a good quarter, they had a dead quarter. No real pattern, no way to predict what was coming. So what do? We built a system around three things. One was our customer success. It drives referrals. It's not sales. Most companies check out after the project is delivered, on to the next deal. But, referrals come after what happens after the close. And we built those regular touch points into customer success, not upsell pitches, real conversations. How's the system performing? What's changing in your business? What are you solving in the next quarter? When you keep showing up after the check clears, referrals stop being something you have to ask for. They happen because of how you operate. The second one was we reward the people who actually own the relationship. This is the one that turned out, and this was great. This turned out to be what turned their whole referral rate around. When a referral comes in, who gets rewarded? Usually it's the company. Maybe the client gets a gift card. Maybe the sales rep gets a spiff. But who actually made that happen? In this case, it was the consultant who was up at 11 o'clock the night before go live, troubleshooting with an integration issue. It's the account manager who remembered the client's kid's soccer tournament and asked how it went on Monday morning. And these are the people that are the relationship in your company. Your client doesn't call the CEO when something breaks at 4 p.m. on Friday. They call their consultant. They call the operations manager. So we started rewarding them a day off, a real bonus, public recognition in front of the team. And you could see that shift. People started being interested in investing in client relationships beyond the scope of work. And then, not because of they were told to, because it was noticed. And now the first 2 are, really about those strengthening relationships we had. This third one that we implemented was really about creating new ones. And then we just began setting up customer roundtables, and we brought in customers in the same industry in a room together. Companies using the same tools, dealing with the same problems. Not just a webinar where someone on the team talked about how do you solve an issue and took some questions at the end. This is a real conversation. How are you handling this? What worked? What didn't? Allowing the customers to talk to each other. So suddenly you're not a vendor anymore. You're a facilitator. You're a real partner. You're helping them in a way that has nothing to do with your product or service. those, and that's how the referrals happen naturally. One company hears from another company's results, and says, wait, who built that one for you? Who helped you get there? So the difference between casual referrals and the intentional system is just the same sources, but completely different results. If your referrals are random or landing the wrong buyers, there's no system behind it. I put together the B2B referral playbook. It's everything I just covered, the fill-in-the-blank referral brief you hand to your clients, the exact language you can customize, and a scorecard to judge your system, along with some AI prompts that can actually run this. It's not a theory. The actual prompts you paste in, you start using tonight, building your own agents. The link's in the description. Grab it. All right. So you built the system. Now here's where most people just blow it. They ask the wrong people at the wrong time. This is the part, this is the part that changes, who walks through your door. So listen up here. Not every referral source is equal. Most people ask everyone, anyone. That's why they get some random results. Your best sources are clients who can tell a specific story about you, not just clients who like you, clients who say they saved us 200 hours a quarter or they consolidated 3 systems into one. That's what makes the referral land. They're great to work with. Doesn't carry that doesn't carry the same weight as they cut our implementation time in half. Next, I would think about is complementary service providers. Think about the accountant who works the same manufacturers you do, or the fractional CFO who sees companies outgrowing their systems. These people hear about the problem before you do. And don't forget clients and industry peers. Just because the engagement ended doesn't mean the relationship has to. Think about fewer sources and better fit prospects. That's the play here. Now, you're probably sitting there thinking, I don't want to bother my clients by asking them for referrals. So reframe that. If you did great work, referring you helps them, right? They look good for making a great recommendation. Their peer gets a trusted partner instead of gambling on a Google search. You're not asking for a favor here. You're giving them the way to help someone they know. So let's talk about how to ask here. And this is where timing matters more than words. Ask after you've delivered a result, not the start of the engagement. After they felt some impact, after go live, or it could be after a quarterly review where the numbers look good. So you think about after you solved a problem, something fast, and they noticed. This is where the people miss a big opportunity. Think about when they voluntarily compliment you. I'm sure if you're watching this video, you've had a client say you guys have been incredible. That's the moment. Don't let it pass. Now, there's no magic script to how to ask. And, if you're, looking for one, I'd be a little skeptical of anyone trying to sell you one. But here's what works in my experience. You just make it about them, not you. Don't say, do you know anyone who needs our services? It's so general. It's vague. They'll just say let me think about it. And then that typically means they'll think about it never. You just put the entire burden on them to figure out who you're looking for. Instead, I would frame it as, we do our best work with food and beverage manufacturers doing 10 to 50 million. If you know anyone in that world struggling with that specific problem, I'd love an intro. And now that causes a name to pop in their head. They can actually just start picturing someone specific. And that's when that referral happens. And here's something most people aren't even doing yet. Because before you even ask, a very simple thing you can do. You can go look at your client's LinkedIn page, their connections. You can filter by industry, campaign size, by title. You can jump into Sales Navigator and kind of figure out what connections you have. And instead of saying, do you know anyone? You could say, I noticed you're connected to Sarah at Acme Manufacturing, and would you be comfortable making an intro? That's a completely different conversation. You already did the work for them. And the last thing I would say here is give them the tools to refer you. Make it easy for them. It could be a one-pager because you serve, on who you serve and what you solve. Because if you have to explain what you do from memory, it's going to be a different message every time, and your client or someone wants to refer you is never going to get it right. And the last piece I want to bring up here is the one that everybody skips. You got to close the loop. Someone put their reputation on the line to refer you. You never told them what happened, so they probably just stop referring you. And typically, that's human nature. You got to close the loop here every time. If they went well, hey, I connected you with Sarah. It was a great conversation, and I appreciate the intro. If it went well, you It's a simple message. Like, hey, I connected with Sarah. It was a great convo. Appreciate the intro. If it wasn't a fit, you can just give them a quick update that company wasn't a right fit, but I appreciate you thinking of us. Here's what we're looking for if anyone else comes to mind. And that second message, it keeps the relationship warm. It shows them who to send you to next time, doesn't make them feel bad. And for staying top of mind here, don't follow up with the general, got any referrals for me? Send them something useful. It could be an article. It could be an invite to your roundtable or an upcoming intimate dinner that you're having in the city that they're in. It could be a case study that you wanted to highlight. And I'll leave you with this, and it's always top of mind what conversations I'm hearing from B2B founders today is, we're building AI agents for clients right now that do some of this, not the writing the email content, but really running the system. Agent that watches your clients' LinkedIn for a big win or a new hire in the company. That could be a signal to reach out. It's an agent that looks at a client's connections and says, hey, they're connected to 3 companies that match our ICP. It's an agent that pings you when you haven't closed the loop in 10 days. These are things that fall through the cracks or you might not have time for that can really take you to the next level. And that's what companies are pulling ahead are doing right now. And we'll go deeper in that on a future video, I'm sure. So subscribe to get notified when that happens. But the bottom line is just stay in their world and the referrals are going to follow. So as you may or may not know, I like to give my Monday morning action plan. So if you're watching this video on Friday, I want to give you a couple of things you can just do on Monday to move the needle. Costs $0. And one, I would say, write down your top 10 clients. For each one, answer just one question. Do they know exactly who you want to be referred to? If the answer is no, just send them a one-pager this week. That one action changes the quality of every referral they send to you. The second thing you can do on Monday is pick one client who just hit a milestone. It could be a go live, could be a strong quarter, could be a problem you solve pretty fast. Give them a call. Go old school. Don't mention referrals. Ask what's next for their business. Be generally curious about this. When someone's riding high and you're the one who helped create it, that referral conversation happens on its own. And the third Monday morning action I would recommend, just pop open your CRM, create 4 new fields. Who you asked, when, who they sent, and did you close the loop? If it's not tracked, it's not a system. Figure out whatever makes sense here. If you can say, did you ask them for a referral? Just put it in the record. Maybe set up some workflows here to close the loop. These are all simple, basic automations you can run. Now, once you have a system, referrals stop feeling random. But here's the bigger question. If referrals are your only real source of pipeline, your entire business is exposed. In the next video, I break down exactly why referral dependency puts your company at risk and what to do about it. Click here.